Hey there, film fans. I'm Jeff.
I'm Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to keep us positive, to make sure we avoid lazy negativity, we've decided to make this episode a bit of a drinking game.
I didn't know.
So anytime we say anything negative at all, anything negative, you're going to hear the sound. That sound means that we are taking an actual drink for being stuffy little negative people, and we hope you drink along with us.
So pour yourselves a glass as we once again go back to the 70s where you could do donuts in your shaggin' wagon with an unsecured toddler in the back.
Honestly, that kid would have died.
That
Cheers.
fucking kid. Cheers.
Dude, it's the Australian way, though. I mean, my dad once got our Tirana airborne driving out there, and I loved it. My mum didn't think it was...
About that kid. Can't wait to talk about that kid, dude.
Okay, so Dave, you are our resident Aussie. You are our resident expert on Mad Max. We are talking about the original 1979 Mad Max. The reason is that we did a random year generator, which spun the year 1979. A lot of great movies came out, so we're going to give you the context of the film year, tell you what happened in 1979, and then we're going to get into Mad Max ahead of Furiosa coming out later this year. The trailer dropped ahead of the Dune 2 feature presentation around this here country in America.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going to give you some context, 1979, talk about the original Mad Max, maybe even talk about some others. But Dave, you are from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk more about your connection with Mad Max. I'm very excited to hear you. But are you excited? Are you excited that we picked Mad Max? I feel like you might have been on the fence, but are you excited about this?
I'm very curious to hear what you guys think about it, because as you know by now, they don't get into what everyone else in the world knows as Mad Max until Mad Max 2. This is almost a different movie.
You said so many times when we were choosing this movie, you're like, it's not what you think it is. Just so you know, it's not what you think it is. You said that so many times. So I'm so excited for you to be a resident expert on that. We're going to get to some gripes, some mini reviews. Any mini reviews for us this week? Anything that you guys want to shout out or plug?
I have seen nothing.
No, nothing new.
Great. So we're just going to stick to our featured segment today. This is pretty exciting.
Right?
Yeah,
you don't have a gripe?
I got gripes.
Cool.
I have a gripe.
All right. Here comes Jeff's gripe is coming at you from the one toilet cubicle still in Times Square.
Okay.
Also known as AMC Times Square Theater.
Okay, set the gripe timer. Set the gripe timer.
Let's run it.
Okay. What are the natural flavors? How do they get away with this? I love seltzer. I got on seltzer recently, and I part of the reason I got on seltzer is because I'm drinking soda, and I see 25 ingredients, and I'm like, this can't be good. It can't be good that there are 25 ingredients that nobody can pronounce that have 20 letters that have 3 vowels in them. And so I get seltzer, and it's like, great, there's clearly a taste. What is it? And it says carbonated water, natural flavors. Of course, it's a flavor. And it comes from nature. Of course. Everything comes from fucking nature unless an alien fucking like science raped their way into this fucking world. Everything comes from nature. Saying natural flavors is bullshit. That says we don't have to tell you. You don't need to know.
Stop it, dude.
It just tastes kind of like lemon lime. We are not going to tell you, but we promise you.
God.
If it was lime, they would just say lime. But it's not. They say natural flavors. So what is it?
What are the natural flavors?
You have different problems to most people.
God, that is so funny, dude. Oh my God. God, Jeff, that's so good, dude.
We're 2 years away from being like, aspartame is nothing compared to what's in these natural flavors.
Oh my God. Oh, that's so good. That is so funny, dude.
It's like the company is literally named the Natural Confectionery Company.
Well, it's bullshit too, because it makes it look like there's 2 ingredients, but it says natural flavors.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
How many flavors? How many natural flavors does it take to make lime?
It's whatever you want it to be, I think, honestly.
But it's not.
Maybe
it's
it tastes like chicken because the machines don't know what chicken tastes like.
Something's not right. Speaking of chickens, we have way too many chickens in this world nowadays. There were not supposed to be 20 million chickens in New Jersey.
Yeah, the brochure didn't say there were this many chickens.
But we love chicken wings, so all of a sudden these chickens are taking over the world. If the apocalypse comes and chickens live, man, I don't know how they're going to do it.
It's March Madness. I think a lot of chickens are getting eaten this month, if that makes you feel any better.
Yeah. Actually, I watched a lot of March Madness, I will say, especially with the family.
Did you see the game today? NC
That's so
State
cool.
and Duke.
Well, you're from North Carolina, John. NC State
Yeah, my
beat
wife
Duke,
went
and
to
UNC
NC
lost
State.
yesterday. How do you feel about this? Actually, NC
I don't
State
really
lost 2
care
days ago.
about. I feel like I have more family
UNC lost 2
members,
days ago.
more blood-related family members who went to Chapel Hill, more family members I have married into who went to NC State, and my mom also went to State. So I'm probably more excited about that for them. I don't give a shit, but I'm excited for them.
Cool.
That's for talking sports on the movie podcast.
Sure.
There's so many good sports movies.
Yeah, Major League.
Thank you. I forgot a movie I watched this week. Thank you. It was a sports
You're
movie.
so welcome. What'd you watch this week, John?
I'll tell you about it.
Skipping
at
the end?
What have you been watching? No, but I was
at the
talking to
end of
Dave
the
before you got on. I was like, I fucking saw a movie and I can't remember what I watched earlier this week. Anyway, I just remembered it.
All right, at the end of our episode, What You've Been Watching, where we give you our recommendations of the week, before telling you what we're going to be watching next week, John will reveal. John will reveal what he's been watching. He'll remember it by then. John, you want to shout our sponsors out before we get into our featured segment? Unless, Dave, do you also have a gripe or anything you want to get off your chest?
I have no gripe. Nope.
Is your gripe that we're recording on Easter?
No, I'm fine.
He's so religious. He's such an observer. Sorry,
John,
Dave.
I love the Mad Max background you have behind you. It's pretty cool.
Hey, thanks. I have it every week. Listeners, if you want to take a peek at our YouTube channel, I'm trying to do a background every week from the films. Nobody has said anything yet, but
they're all thinking
what
it.
I'm doing.
Yeah, I just built an entire fucking show and brought you guys into it every week. But yeah, sure, watch it for John's background.
Look, it's cool. Look, you can see what I do. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Thank you, Dave.
We have two sponsors.
Sorry, go ahead.
We have two sponsors. We have a beer sponsor. His name is Carlos Barroza. You can find his handle in the show notes. cbarroza.beer. Follow him, like him, love him, beer. You know what it's at. We also have a music artist in residence that goes by the name Dasein, Dasein. The music on this episode and every single episode is provided by that man. He is on all the usual music platforms. Go, download, stream, like, love. You're welcome. So many great new releases that have just been coming out over the past few months. Arc, Cass. There's a few things that have been dumped out of these Nessian interludes. This giant piece he's been working on for the past couple of years. I recommend getting on Spotify and listening to a few of those individual tracks.
He's obviously uploaded our version of Pacifica up to YouTube as well, because I got a strike the other day.
We did. We get a fucking strike the other day.
Yeah.
Did you really? Oh my god! And we heard from Dasein. Oh my god!
Well, it's funny that piece of music that we use doesn't get a strike, but if you put it under a short and we're talking over it, every now and then we get a strike.
Oh, great.
Interesting.
That's funny.
That's weird. I think he's going to come on at some point in the next few weeks. So folks will hear from Dasein
until
again.
he fixes his YouTube. He's not coming on this show.
But not until he fixes his YouTube. Yeah.
Dave, do any of your unions that you're either a current or a future member of, do they need to know that you edit and produce our podcast, or should we keep it a secret a little bit longer?
Oh, no, it's fine. I think everyone knows that. It's in the description.
So therefore the unions know. So we're good. We don't have to we don't have to fill out any paperwork, because I'm really bad at filling out union paperwork. As you know from having me be apparently a producer for your films. Paperwork's not my strong point. I try. Yeah. Apparently there's rules that you're supposed to be following.
You're a fucking whiz at throwing out Gorilla Glue, though.
Oh my God.
It wasn't frozen.
Oh man.
We were on a time limit. We were under duress, just like many of the characters in our movie, Mad Max from 1979. Anything else you want to say before we get into this?
I feel like you should probably tell that story.
I feel
so
like his tone implied we have nothing else to say.
I feel like everybody needs to know what happened with the Gorilla Glue now that you just hinted at it. Jeff, I can't exactly remember what happened because I wasn't in the room.
No,
you weren't. We kept you away from the room.
Yeah. What?
Do you actually? Is this actually the time? Because we don't have any reviews. Okay, cool.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, really quick. We hired a drone before it was cool. When we filmed that, 2015, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, 15. I think it was 15.
December of 2015, before it was cool. Dave hired a drone. We hired a drone for a movie shoot. We got some great B-roll, by the way, which is still in the film and looks fucking awesome. Dave learned how to operate it on the side of a highway. But the thing is, the rental periods are short. So we rented this fucking thing. And basically, Dave had to learn how to use it. And then we were filming with it a day later. There was an accident, Dave, where upon takeoff, it clipped a branch. And apparently these little weak little fucking blades that it can keep this thing afloat and go miles and miles and miles. A little twig on a tree is too much for it. And it caused it, like a fucking lawn dart, to catapult to the ground and shatter this drone that we had rented.
Okay,
Except
yeah,
we're in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains.
It hit the house. It hit the deck. It rolled down the stairs. It was a long death.
It landed
buzzing as it went.
loud. It was so loud. I can't imagine. It went down wooden stairs, like clump, clump, clump. It was so loud. And we had no time. We had like 2 days. We're in the middle of nowhere. The overnight delivery was going to literally destroy our budget. And we had Gorilla Glue that was fucking frozen because we were in the middle of North Carolina in December. And so I put it in the microwave on low power mode to try to thaw it.
He panicked.
I panicked. Yeah, I panicked. I tried to. And then, you know what we did? We ruined a microwave. We ruined a microwave because Gorilla Glue obviously is very difficult to get out of a microwave once you melt it and it explodes all over the microwave.
We glued the props back together, turned the drone on, and immediately started flipping like a fish.
How did I think that I was going to be able to fix these propellers so that it could land on a fucking dime a mile away by Gorilla Gluing it? How did I think that I had the aeronautical engineering expertise to pull that off in 10 minutes? But I knew we wouldn't be able to overnight deliver this back and forth to get it in time. So
I was the one sitting there going, we better test the shit out of this because I got to park it 3 foot off someone's face.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for John's parents because I wanted to apologize and all this, but we had to keep moving. So we basically said, hey, sorry about that microwave, but you want to help lift this PCP pipe? PCP, what is it? What are the letters?
PVC.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're on PCP by the end of that shoot.
PBS? Yeah, I felt like it was on PVC. That's for all of us.
I never actually knew the detail of the propeller. That's what you were trying to glue specifically. I heard that it broke.
How did I? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Remember when we were drunk the night before that and we were flying it around inside the house?
Not a good idea, kids.
It almost hit all of us. Like, oh, that was such a bad.
Oh my God.
Man. Anyway.
There's
you think they just hover, and they don't hover. Any little gust will move that thing from side to side.
They definitely don't hover when somebody is drunk at the controls. That's when they really don't just hover.
I landed it.
Look at this.
Also, don't bring it to a beach. It's so windy, guys. Don't do it. The thing weighs a pound tops. So when that gust of wind comes, Jesus Christ, that's flying quicker than fucking Mary Poppins' umbrella. Ugh.
They're everywhere now. You just dropped out. I just missed with the last thing you said.
Jeff just disappeared from the show. He's
I'm clipping, but luckily I have a separate audio recording, so our listeners at home.
Thank fucking Christ, fine. Jeff.
Everyone's
just
fine.
Out of curiosity, what happened in the year 1979?
Yeah, actually, there was some good shit. This is a good
Let's
one.
Stop dwelling on the past and go dwell on the past.
Okay. I have some good stuff that happened in the world that I'm going to tell you about in a second. A couple world events from 1979. But as always, we like to start with the top 10 list of what were the highest grossing movies of 1979. So what do you think, friends? We talked about some of these movies last week very quickly at the end of our episode, so we were all a little drunk and tired. We talked about some of these. What was the highest grossing movie of 1979, according to Box Office Mojo?
It's got to be Superman. It's got to be. Is it not?
No.
Oh, are you serious?
I'm definitely serious.
I'm going to go for Rocky 2 or maybe Star Trek or maybe Amityville Horror. I don't know. Genre films.
Did Superman come out in 1979?
It may have come out in 78 and it was still just, I think of it as a 79
It came out in December of 78. I'm sure it kept running into 1979, but unfortunately those numbers do not count towards this year. Pretty good guess there, John, because I bet you it did make a ton of money in 1979, but technically the film came out in 1978.
I remember that ran
was a good guess that came in number 3. Number 1 was Kramer versus Kramer. That is right. This is an era where Kramer versus Kramer is number 1. Now, to be fair, and we talked about this, between 1976 and 1980 is basically when the numbers shifted after Jaws and after Star Wars, and people actually tried to keep receipts a little bit better. So according to Box Office Mojo, that all $106 million of Kramer versus Kramer, which is so much money considering the main character in that movie makes like $30,000 a year. I know I'm clipping. It's okay. But $106 million, and that's almost entirely from the U.S. and Canada. But yeah, Kramer versus Kramer, according to Box Office Mojo. Number 2, Amityville Horror was at $86 million. And Rocky 2 comes in at number 3 at $85 million. So a pretty close call there. Star Trek The Motion Picture, which we sort of talked about in our franchise face-off, came out in $82 million in the 4th place. We also sort of talked about Apocalypse Now. We specifically watched the director's cut, which is a little bit longer for those of you that didn't get enough Apocalypse in that original 2 hour and 45 minute cut. We got a whole French scene in there. It was pretty cool. That comes in at number 5 after apparently being in pro for years. Alien comes at number 6. The movie 10 comes in at number 7. The Jerk with Steve Martin, number 8. Moonraker comes in at 9. The Muppet movie sneaks into the top 10. And that is it. Meatballs and Escape from Alcatraz are in the top 15, which is pretty fun. A couple other funny things. The Oscars ratings had 49 million. That was the Oscars rating for 1979 into 1980. That shows you what stars did back then. I guess they didn't have much else to do. Kramer versus Kramer would take 5 out of 9 Oscars that it was nominated for, including Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, and Writing, of course. Apocalypse Now won Cinematography and Sound. Alien won Visual Effects. And All That Jazz, believe it or not, won 4 Oscars, including Film Editing. And John and I believe, both have held an Oscar from All That Jazz. Have you ever held that Oscar? Tony Walton's production design Oscar.
No.
Every now and then, Georgia used to throw parties at her grandparents' house, and they knew about it, of course. And so I got to hold an All That Jazz Oscar. Tony Walton's fucking legend. Also, a couple things. Sally Field, one for Norma Ray. I believe this was the You Like Me, You Really Like Me year. And then Melvin Douglas won for Being There. A couple other movies. I know John's going to shout one out, so I'll just say Life of Brian also came out this year. And really quick, a couple things that happened around the world. The 3 Mile Island nuclear accident happened in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This is well before Chernobyl, or at least, a couple years, half a decade or more before Chernobyl. But yes, that happened in Harrisburg,
We did it before. It was cool.
Yes. China institutes the 1 child per family rule. That was 1979. The general knowledge quiz game Trivial Pursuit came out this year. A couple big albums came out this year. The Wall and Off the Wall, Pink Floyd and Michael Jackson. USSR invades Afghanistan, and they're still not happy about it. Margaret Thatcher is elected Prime Minister of UK. ESPN launches in 1979. The snowboard is invented in America. This is the Iran hostage crisis, where the American embassy in Tehran gets overrun by a lot of angry people, and they take 63 American hostages. Idi Amin is deposed. Shout out Last King of Scotland. And lastly, Sony released the Walkman in 1979, and it went for $200, which sounds like a whole lot of money for 1979.
Holy shit. Game changer.
Are there any other movies that you want to shout out from 1979?
Well, I think since we've been doing this segment, you kind of alluded to it, but we have done this segment before, and there's just too many great movies to see throughout the years. So let's just call out really quickly what we've already talked about. If anybody wants to go back and listen to that episode, we did fucking Apocalypse Now, as you mentioned. We also did Steven Spielberg's 1941.
Dave, you remember that movie?
No, I was drunk by the end of that one.
We did the independent cult classic, The Warriors.
Hell yeah.
Right? Come out to play.
They shout out The Warriors.
And we did...
For the fans of The Office, Daryl shouts out The Warriors when Michael's coming up to him. Sorry.
Will you stop that?
Dave!
That's pretty good. And I think that was all we did, because we used to do a Was It Really That Bad? And I think that's what 1941 was. We were doing the 2 Apocalypse Now Warriors. Yeah. So I'll just call out really quickly, one of my favorite international directors, Andrei Tarkovsky. His film Stalker from 1979 is an absolute art house Criterion classic for anyone who's into that kind of long form meditative, what some people call boring cinema, intentionally stretching in tension. It's pretty incredible. Shout out to The Jerk, Steve Martin's crossover from stand up into movies. Right? That's a pretty big deal. A small movie called Breaking Away about road racing. It is a fucking great small movie. I don't know if anybody knows about that movie. My dad loved that movie. And it's the more and more I grow up into this industry, people know about that movie. It just wasn't a hit in the same way that we think of the big ones coming from, back then. And then I'll also just call out the Muppet movie, just because I know you've
Hell
mentioned
yeah.
it too, but
That
I
was a
fucking
thing.
love that movie.
A
Yeah.
couple of things for
Beginning-
older demo here. No offense. We got Manhattan came out this year. Some of you might
Manhattan,
like that.
don't forget
The
about it.
Rose for our Bette Midler fans came out this
Some
year, of
say
course. And for my theater fans, the original French La Cage aux Folles came out this year. There you go.
And maybe Carol Ballard's The Black Stallion, which I think we kind of mocked when we were talking about it, but that's a good movie, dude. It's a good movie. Carol Ballard. It's fucking good.
Wait,
All
can I
right,
say
let's
that
do it.
the best actor category? Dustin Hoffman, Jack Lemmon, Al Pacino, Roy Scheider for All That Jazz, and Peter Sellers. How awesome is that?
Jeez.
By the way, I'm just gonna do it because I respect all of your research, but the numbers has Kramer versus Kramer way down on the list because it came out December 19th, 1979. So the numbers only has it making $7 million, which puts it at like 49th of that year.
Yeah, because it came out at the end of the year. So, but
Right. So
For movie- but-
so you're saying the biggest grossing movie that came out in the correct year would be Kramer versus Kramer.
yeah,
That's what the fucking Oscars nominations and stuff used to do, folks.
yeah.
That movie came out, it did pretty well, and then all the nominations came out, and everybody flooded to the theaters to see this great movie with this woman, Meryl Streep, who was coming up in the supporting. It's exciting. Anyway, let's do it. Let's go.
All right. Dave, I kind of want to defer to you to lead our Mad Max segment since you are a Mad Max expert. I imagine you've seen all of these, but I'll just give you the general pitch from IMDb as I usually do, since I think you know the deal. This is co-written and directed singularly by our boy George Miller. Fuck, I looked up Superman, and now that's like the thing on my IMDb here.
Stop for a second and consider George Miller's body of work.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, he goes from Mad Max and what's that little animated film he directed that wasn't that popular at all?
Happy Feet?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
That's
how do you get there?
I don't know.
Yeah, and who does he
I
cast in
really
Happy
don't
Feet?
know.
Hugh Jackman, who's Australian. You people love each other so much. Can't get enough of each other. Who replaces George Miller for the third Mad Max movie? Another Australian theater director. Come on.
Who was
All right.
it?
George Ogilvy? Is that the
Ogilvy.
name? I didn't look that up. I think I nailed it. I think I just fucking nailed it. Should I nail it?
I actually don't know who directed the third one.
I believe it was, and I looked them up, and I remember they were a theater director.
That explains why there was a serious shift in tone.
Fucking nailed it. George Ogilvy directed it. Apparently, George Miller tried to share credit, motherfucker. But George Ogilvy, yes, that was Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome in 1985. This was sort of a trilogy. Mad Max Road Warrior was the second one that came out in 1981, 2 years after this OG film in 1979. And then, of course, Fury Road would reinvent it and win a bunch of Oscars. So therefore, now we got Furiosa in a similar world and tone, but
Did
That's our
George
source
Miller
material.
just go, hey, you know what? You direct all the dramatic stuff, and I'll just do the cars.
okay, cars everywhere. Cars. It's unbelievable. I also really want to know how many stunt people got injured during this film. I want to know what their union rules were like. I mean, some of these things I couldn't believe what I was
Considering
seeing
most
with
of
my
the
eyes
extras got paid in beer, there were no union rules.
since they got paid in beer. Can you imagine doing some of these sequences and being like, what am I paying you? And it's like, shut the fuck up and be in my movie.
Yeah, it's a carton.
I
You
can
pay me a
imagine
carton.
Australians doing that.
Yes.
Oh yeah, beer is currency. It's happened.
Dude, yes.
I've both been on the receiving and like giving end of that.
Unreal,
Okay, we
dude.
get the gist.
Unreal.
We're talking about the OG Mad Max from 1979, starring Mel Gibson. Sort of made him a hero, made him a legend, made him a celebrity. Mad Max Fury Road, probably not Mad Max. Mad Max, the Road Warrior, probably did even more so. But
Yeah, Road Warrior was the one that really took off over here.
yeah, and I think you even said, Dave, that Road Warrior is probably what people remember Mad Max to be.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, cool. So let's pass it to you right away. The IMDb pitch is probably some bullshit, but I really want you to start with, why did you keep saying it's not what you thought it was? And in your rewatch, did it surprise you, or was it something that was kind of like, yeah, this is sort of like a precursor to the good shit? That's what I would like to know from you. The IMDb pitch is, in a self-destructing world, a vengeful Australian policeman sets out to stop a violent motorcycle gang. Seems pretty straightforward. Dave,
That's the movie.
take it away.
It's a very simple concept wrapped up in a couple of car chases.
What do you think?
But
What did you think of your rewatch? It's
I'm
on
a
Prime, by the way. Available on Prime.
yeah, had no ads. My version too. So it got one
Yeah,
ad
me
at the
too.
beginning
Yeah.
and
Ooh,
played
yeah,
all the way
that's
through.
it. Just the one at the
Yeah.
beginning, yeah.
Yeah, I've had both on Prime, where sometimes they put like 14 ad breaks in there. But no, this one. I mean, I like you said, I always liked from Mad Max 2 on more than this, to be honest. But I feel as I got older now, I appreciate more of what they did. And this, to be honest, made me almost like I had to get up and go to work today, and I didn't want to go to bed. I wanted to stay and watch Mad Max 2 right now, as soon as I was finished watching this, because it's like I just want more of this. I want more.
I felt the same way.
And Mad Max 2 as well is such a step up from this as well because of all the things he learnt. Have you seen the story of how he funded this film?
No, that was definitely on my list of things to ask you. Though.
Okay,
he was a doctor.
It's
right?
an indie film. Yeah, he was an ER doctor to get the money.
What?
He worked as an ER doctor to get the money to make this film.
An ER doctor put these stunt drivers through that.
Yeah, exactly.
And all the injuries were stuff he'd actually seen in the emergency room.
Wow. Yeah, I believe it, man.
Like,
I fucking believe it.
Dedication.
Did you ever see a hand hanging off of a string or a
Probably.
chain?
Kundalivia, or what was that character's name? The dude whose hand is just like fucking.
The one I didn't know was that the bad guy in this,
Kundalini,
like the main bad guy in this,
the main bad
who
guy.
is just
immortal,
like, psychotic, returned in Fury Road.
Yeah.
As
of course he did.
Yeah.
He looks like He still had those eyes.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Eyebrows and the eyeshadow. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, and I think
what's his name?
In real life?
I remember saying. Yeah.
Hugh Keays-Byrne. Passed away in 2020.
I think he did.
Aw,
We lost
man.
him. He is in Furiosa though, apparently. Not him. It's someone else playing the role, but it was a guy who worked with him a lot, and he was like, I can play him. I can play him playing him.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Just give his family some proceeds. That's cool. I remember when it came out, I remember reading the Entertainment Weekly article about how they insisted on keeping the legacy true to its original source material. And basically the leader of that bike gang becomes the leader of that weird cult society. Yeah. So of course he has, prisoners and
funny story. That bikie gang, I think there were only like 5 or 6 actors actually in it. The rest were the vigilantes. It was an actual bikie gang in Australia. And they couldn't pay for transport, so they made them ride their bikes from like Brisbane down to, or like Queensland down to Melbourne, where they were shooting. And they had a get out of jail free card, which was basically a letter because they had to ride to set in their gear, and some of the gear had fake weapons on it. So they had the production department gave them a letter.
Their weapons home.
Production department gave them a letter saying that they were shooting a movie, and they had to come to set dressed like this.
Why wouldn't a killer just walk around with that?
Well,
now?
some of the stuff had weapons built into it. Like some of the costumes had weapons attached and stuff. So yeah, they were.
I would hope they weren't just taking their prop guns home.
Right? That's not done anymore.
So what did you think, Dave? So you really enjoyed watching it so much.
I did. I always find this one a little slower on the action because there's a lot of it doesn't seem like it, but there is a fair bit of story buried in there. But I think I enjoyed the journey this time more. There's a couple of things I like when we get to talking about the end of it. There's a couple of things I'm like I didn't notice before, and I'm like, hey. But yeah, I think I enjoyed this on the rewatch. And it's a classic, and it's so stylized.
That's
like it's one nice. Like I'm a sucker for anything that builds its own world and sticks to it.
Fuck yeah.
And apparently it wasn't even supposed to be post-apocalyptic. They just couldn't afford to like have extras and shit, so that explained they changed it to like the world is like it was after a world war, so that's why there's no one in the streets. What's
the opening like not too far from now, or not too in the not too distant future or something?
Yeah.
I will piggyback off that. My first time seeing it, by the way, never saw it. Never saw any of them. And I saw Fury Road like when these contemporary ones when they came out, but I have not seen any of these old ones. So this is my first time watching it. And I'm going to be a little critical, you guys, because Dave, I didn't know, you had told us before, and then you reiterated it last week when we were talking that like, it's not what Mad Max became. And I still didn't quite understand what that meant until I saw this. But let me make my caveat. I understand why this launched George Miller. I understand the thing that is at the center of it is an exciting new filmmaker. Like that's really it. Like the story isn't going to change anybody's life. You said it, which, you know, these small independent films, it's hard to do that anyway. You're really trying to make a voice come to life, and you're trying to create something compelling. And the independent cinema scene in Australia at the time wasn't exactly flourishing in the same way. There were a few more, shall we say, mature, like in terms of like literary style filmmakers that were starting to come up that were getting more acclaim than people like George Miller, who were making more grindhousey, you know, actiony, commercial kind of stuff.
Funny story about this being an independent film. It was a $300,000 budget and it made $100 million worldwide. It became the highest grossing independent film for like 30 years, I think. Blair Witch.
Does that even count VHR?
Yeah.
Sorry, VHS.
So.
Yeah, VHS.
Yeah, VHS. I think Blair Witch knocked it off finally.
Killed it, dude. So now that I've said that, I'm just going to say what my experience was like watching it, which was kind of, Dave, exactly what you said, dude. And I feel like I want to watch the second one now, because the blurb is, in a self-destructing world, a vengeful Australian policeman sets out to stop a violent motorcycle gang, doesn't happen until the last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a movie that is an hour and 28 minutes long, folks. And ultimately, spoilers, fuck you, it's 1979, so watch it if you haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry for talking about it. You know from the jump, you know that this is eventually going to be a revenge film. You're going to see Max go mad. You just know it. I've never seen it. You know it's going to happen.
I hope that they would justify the title.
I waited for it. Yeah, sure. I loved how they set it up. I loved George Miller's style. The direction of reality, you know, and performances, like, who cares? Like, it's so stylized that you're kind of ready for anything. So, like, that's really not what bumped for me.
Yeah.
What bumped for me was how desperately they tried to justify Max's a relationship with his significant other, played by Joanne Samuel. The character's name is Jessie. It's his wife. They have a small child, like a toddler, and they really play it up. Whereas structurally with most revenge films, you get that into your exposition, or maybe it's up to the midpoint, and then the rest of the movie, the latter half, is that. I will say, this is a testament to how much fun I had watching it when they finally kill her, or not quite kill her, but injure her so badly that she might never wake up again and she loses her arm and the child is killed. I pressed pause because I remember thinking, like, fucking thank God, finally, we're going to see this guy fucking go nuts. I'm excited. I hope this is the midpoint. In an hour and 28 movie, that moment happens at 1 hour and 14 minutes.
Yes, it does.
And I remember just thinking, like, all of that relationship stuff did not teach me anything I didn't know, just because George Miller's stylized direction is so heightened that it's not like you were having these grounded, deep character revealing scenes with him and his wife. It was just, you know, strengthening their relationship. He literally is told by his chief, take some time off. He wants to quit because his partner gets killed, which, by the way, that picture of Goose, do you guys know what I'm talking about? When Toe Cutter finds Mad Max he plants those two photographs in the guy's helmet to let him know, I'm coming for you. That picture of Goose, like, hanging off the side of that. Do you remember that moment? Did that kill you? Look it up if you forgot. It's fucking hilarious, the picture of him. Shout out to Elizabeth. She fucking died laughing at that. We both had to take a moment for it. So he gets told at what is actually, like, leading up to the midpoint, Max, don't quit yet because your partner gets killed because you're scared. Take some time off. Go enjoy yourself. Come back, and then you can tell me if you actually want to quit. And that sequence ended up taking like a third of the movie was him going out with his wife into, you know, vacation mode, basically. Yeah. Trying to get some me time back, some R&R. The child disappears. Like, who knows where the fuck that baby went? Well, I guess it was just in the back of the car the whole time.
It was the 70s in Australia. Gen X, man. They didn't watch us.
I know parenting is they just go to the beach and pass out and their baby's just somewhere.
Yeah.
But either way,
they just tell it, don't touch the blue octopus, and you're fine.
I had fun. I loved how they just, I'm going to go, like, things like this, like filmmaking wise, we're at this beautiful coastal farm situation, sort of ranch farm situation. She's like, I'm going to go to the beach. And they end up setting this wonderful kind of chase sequence in these woods that are clearly not there. Like they never established them well enough for you to think that, oh yeah, that's right there. But here in between here and the ocean, that giant forest must be there. That makes sense. But it fucking worked. It was so cool.
You'd be surprised,
it gave us such an eerie feeling.
That geography exists.
I believe it. But I feel like they pointed their camera in that direction a few times. I was like, that's not a forest, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So I guess my only real gripe was that I felt like there was so much style, and I felt like I was watching a director who clearly had the means, and he clearly did because he made 3 fucking sequels after this with him going max, going mad on everybody.
I think the difference is he had the budget after this. Because there were a couple there were at least 2 chase scenes that had to be cut and couldn't be, or crashes that had to be cut and couldn't be filmed. That were cut out of the movie because they ran out of money.
Yeah. I can't believe there were more things
cops,
that they needed.
The cops were wearing vinyl instead of leather. They ran out of money.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Look, it was enjoyable. I feel like just structurally, I just can't believe, because this is a revenge story. Whether George Miller wants to admit it or not, this is a revenge tale.
Yeah.
And he doesn't start his revenge until his very, very, very final part of the 3rd act. Like, I don't even know if I would call that the third,
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Jeff, what do you think?
In the setups, I had a great time. Also, side note, as I begin answering here, Knight Rider, his name is Vince Gill, which is not to be confused with the country singer Vince Gill. But George Miller cast him in 3,000 Years of Longing, Dave. So he has a very small part in that movie that Dave and I liked a lot more than Mark from the Matt and Mark movie show. Shat all over it because he said it's just a bunch of people in a hotel room talking, even though it's not. The 2 people are talking and the stories come alive in these very long-winded vignettes, which were beautiful. Mark, Vince Gill's in it, but not the country singer. Directed by George Miller. We're talking about in this movie. I wish I could pretend like I separated the lens of knowing the future with this movie, with this franchise, with George Miller. But in a way, that definitely helped my enjoyment of this movie. And after I finished the movie, where I was like a little confused on something, I just wanted to go back because the names were confusing. And I was like, wait a second, did the witnesses, what was the crime that they're, because obviously the biker gang was trying to fuck with them so that they wouldn't show up, so that their boy would get released. And I was like, I just really want to fill in the blanks a little bit. And all of the descriptions of this are like, when a cop has his wife and kid murdered, he goes on revenge. I was like, none of that other stuff. So late in the movie. And it's like watching this as an origin for a bigger franchise that took a crazy, bold turn, or at least tonal pivot. So watching this as a prequel, this is the kind of thing that so many studios want to do after they have success. And they can't go back to this, where this feels like it had the budget what's the fucking Richard Linklater movie that we keep talking about? Slacker. It feels like it has the budget of Slacker, except they just have people jump out of cars instead of just like walk around Austin. And it's like, I can't, honestly, the whole time I was sitting there, I was like, how the fuck did they do this and how did it work? Because for me, it's all about the second movie. It's like, how did they do this? And they got me compelled. I did not expect to see Mel Gibson look like a total weirdo. He walks so weird. He has got this slouch.
Yeah.
He's walking like, oh man, like a lot in this movie. He doesn't seem tough. The way he runs is so unathletic. The fact that this is like a badass guy is very surprising to me. But at the same time, I get it. I get that he becomes Mel Gibson. I get that the Road Warrior is fucking awesome.
At this point, he hasn't even graduated from drama school. He's still in drama school.
So yeah. I guess I expected there to be more mad from Max.
Yeah.
But this is an origin story for the greater franchise. And it's so fun to watch that opening sequence, to watch how ridiculous and absurd these characters are. They are shameless. Knowing this is in the 70s when filmmakers were like, let's just fucking make a goddamn movie and let's hope everybody lives to the end of it so we don't get sued and we get our budget to make our next movie. Watching it that way was really, really, really fun. I didn't mind the domestic love lifestyle with Max and his wife because you knew some shit was happening. I didn't know it was about to go full Braveheart.
It was definitely, he definitely played the ticking clock well, especially when they did go on the vacation and the guys.
You're talking about George or Mel?
George. Like,
I
because
agree,
there was a
100%.
ticking clock. It's like you knew that the partner was toast. at some
I was happy
point.
to enjoy it. And I thought she did an amazing
job. You knew
job.
that they were going to start some trouble with Max on vacation because they were following him from bit to bit. So there's just that looming threat chasing him. Yeah. So like it was that sort of thing. But again, it was interspersed with a lot of. Also, there's one thing that really pissed me off about this, because when they go to the farm and she goes down, she has the swim and has a nap and everything, and she comes back up and there's the screaming in the forest, and he comes running out and she's like, yeah, there's people in the forest, they're after me. He goes, call the Dark One. And she goes, okay, and she runs inside. I need to talk to the Dark One. The Dark One never shows up. Who the fuck is the Dark One?
Yeah, who is wait?
Why is there some dude?
She called the doctor.
She says the doctor, Dave.
Is that what she said?
Yes.
The subtitle, even the subtitle said the Dark One.
Oh, weird. Oh, okay. I thought
she said doctor because she was going crazy. Like I thought, or at least to the person who didn't know.
We don't call the doctor when your missus goes crazy in Australia. That's normal.
Yeah, maybe she just saw a spider.
Jesus,
that's
Christ.
fair. That's fair. Good save.
Good save.
I do.
Maybe she saw a bunch of bike gang guys do yoga. But what is with the stretching? What is with the cartwheels when they go to the bike? It's so bizarre. Like it's just so.
I love it.
Weirdly entertaining. It's a weird movie that was very
one thing
entertaining.
I do love about George Miller. Like every character that he writes has an individual quirk, and it's not outstanding, but it's there. Like sometimes it's blatantly obvious, sometimes it's not, but they all have a quirk.
Yeah, I could see him. I'm wondering how much of that was on the page and how much of that was him just encouraging these guys to really be eccentric and to.
Well, I know apparently
those guys when they first park their bikes and the guys.
He gave them names like Silver Tongue and Toe Cutter.
Those two dudes immediately start ballroom dancing.
Yep.
In the middle of the street. Things like that.
Well, Toe Cutter, apparently the actor deliberately used a different accent for every scene to make himself seem unbalanced.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, he was great. And maybe it was one of those two where, as the leader of the gang, I could see him George telling him, like, what you did in the auditions, what we're working on, like, bring that and let's let I'm going to tell the guys to look at you for permission for how far they can push it with these eccentricities. Because if you're the leader and you're living in this bizarre anarchical, I mean, the thing that really just in case people aren't aware of the years of the launch pad of Mel Gibson's stardom, he made this. Dave was saying still in drama school, so he makes this, films it in 78, comes out in 79. Gallipoli, which really puts him on the map as a serious contender. He also had a small film that's pretty good, independent film, where he plays a person with special needs, I guess is the right terminology. Same year, called Tim, set in 1979. Gallipoli, Peter Weir's film that really put him on the map, is like, look at this kid, dramatic star coming up, 1981. And the year after that, 3 years after what we just watched, Mad Max, The Year of Living Dangerously. Yep. He's a grown man by then, isn't he? It's pretty fucking crazy.
Film fans,
it's like 3 years later. He's like 26. Yeah. It's unreal.
Whereas Timothy Chalamet is playing younger characters
as he gets older.
He is George Costanza. We were just talking about this weekend. He's George Costanza's age, Timothy Chalamet. Mel Gibson very quickly just was like, I'm ready to be Year of Living Dangerously.
Yeah, no, I get it. Really I get it. That's just how we grow. I'm 28.
No, sure. You're Benjamin buttoning your way back down. I'm not criticizing Mel all of this movie, but Jeff, I'm kind of biting on what you were saying with I wanted more Mad in Mel's performance. It just goes to show you that for this kind of movie, performances are always important, of course, folks.
Yeah.
But for this kind of movie, George Miller is the reason you went to go see this. I don't think anybody's acting performance changed anybody's life. Whereas I've seen Tim, he's so good in it. He is wonderful in Gallipoli. He's great in The Year of Living Dangerously. Like, you can tell you're looking at a supreme talent who is still in their early 20s in those movies. I don't think you can tell that in Mad Max. And I'm not criticizing him. I believe him in this. It's not one of those character driven, like, holy crap, who's that young actor? George Miller fucking put him into the right situation. And God, all of those opening shots where they don't, where they're showing Mad Max getting ready at his car.
Yep.
The gloves, the hand, the
The
sunglasses.
only thing missing was the zip of the fly.
Hilarious, dude. That's like
Yeah,
almost
getting
like
all our buzzes
satirical
this episode.
grindhouse style. It's so effective, so effective. I just can't. It's kind of jaw dropping just how blatantly obvious it probably was to people at the time that like, my name is George Miller and I make these kinds of movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, I forgot that Peter Weir was Australian, to be honest with you. Mosquito, Coast, Witness, the fucking Truman Show. Dead Poets. I'm surprised.
Dead
I just forgot he was. Yeah.
Did you think he was British? Say it. Piss Dave off and say that you thought
I assumed he was British. I haven't heard him talk. I haven't heard him talk a lot or anything. But yeah. This movie is ridiculous. It's so fun. All the action, I think, it's fun to watch back. It's fun. I feel like you can't go back and watch this like it's a great piece of art or cinema. I feel like watching it as the first one that took off and just being like, they did it. They actually fucking did it. I feel like is the best way to watch this.
It's not. You guys, it is. We cannot undersell this enough. Have y'all ever seen Death Proof? Tarantino's that grindhouse flick.
I reference that often.
This reminded me of that so much. Like, the stunts were awesome. Like the driving was real time. I mean, there were so many times where people were driving really fucking fast.
Yeah.
Which almost like never happens.
Apparently,
in
at one
movies.
point, the cinematographer was sitting on the back of a motorcycle doing 110 miles an hour.
It felt that way, dude. Honestly, it really did. Like,
Even I wouldn't
the
do
ones
that.
where like it was a locked
needs
off
cocaine?
camera on a road, and somebody would come driving past, fucking flying with a motorcycle or a car. Like, that's dangerous. Like, and they fucking did it,
They did
dude.
so
You two
much
know-
dangerous shit. Like, apparently the first scene filmed in the movie was where he runs up and cuts the lock off that phone on the overpass. That was the first thing they shot in the entire movie. And the reason he's hurrying isn't because of the urgency in the scene. It's because they didn't have a permit to film on that overpass and they were
Running
closing the
gun.
road.
I heard they didn't have overpasses. I heard they didn't have permits for
For a
most
lot
of,
of shit, yeah.
For a lot of yeah. Well, also, your cameras. I don't know if everybody else will, but when they have these close sequences where cars come together, or even honestly like that early accident that leads to the crash, the fiery blaze, then they get a different angle, and you're like, that was probably a different take. Did they do that 3-4 times? You have to forgive
that first
the
crash
wife
where
and the
he-
child. You have to forgive the distance that they, that you have to like forgive that continuity thing. But like, again, I can't believe they fucking did it.
Also, what a fucking scene. It's like, oh, yeah, there's a guy speeding down the road, just going psycho. Let's put a couple on the road. Nope, not enough. Let's put a turning car in there with a trailer. Not enough. Throw a crawling baby in there. Well,
Those crashes were really happening. No cutaways. We were watching that shit crash.
Yeah, that one actually had a jet engine in the back of it that malfunctioned. And the car wasn't meant to go off to the side. And apparently it chased the film crew for miles.
Real.
But yeah, they ended up having to go, like, basically cut in an explosion.
Did you ever play the Sega Genesis game Road Rash?
Yeah.
No.
It was a biker game where you're on a motorcycle and you get up next to it when you have either like a chain or like a police, like, and then you can go and you go like you drive up next to people and you punch them. You try to punch them up their bikes and stuff.
Yep.
I was watching this and I was like, this inspired comics. It inspired those little Polly Pockets for boys, those little Mad Max things, all the little toy cars that it inspired, that fucking iconic yellow car. And then it inspired this game Road Rash, I'm convinced. But the cars were crazy. The crashes were crazy. The way they got the smoke coming out of the tire screeches were crazy. When they started doing it on motorcycles, because the first chase was mostly on cars.
They put oil
when they
on the
started
tires
doing it
for the
with
smoke.
Great. When they started, I'm sure that's so safe to just have oil on cars while you're fucking crashing vehicles. Yeah. When they started doing this on motorcycles, I was losing my fucking mind. Seriously, I'm sitting there and I feel the understanding that somebody could get seriously hurt at any moment.
Yeah.
And that was exciting. It's hard to understate that, but there is character. I don't know who any of them are yet. They seem to be going crazy. It's really exciting. It's a weirdly exciting thing. It's better to watch knowing that it happened, like watching Man of Wire, where the guy's on the wire at the top of the World Trade Center. It would be way weirder to watch if he didn't make it. But since he made it, it's like one of those things.
No one has
Same
seen
thing
it
with
coming.
Free Solo. It's like Free Solo. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I know he lives because I saw him accept the Oscar, but I'm watching this and I'm like, I'm witnessing death. I'm staring at it for the sake of a movie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things.
Dave, is there?
A couple of things I love though, like the performance from Toe Cutter when he pulls up and he tells that guy to go back and get the other guy. He's like, I don't want to go back and get him, and he's like, yeah, it's not for him, it's for me. And you can almost see, you can't see the guy's face, but you can see his whole body go, oh fuck.
Oh yeah, and the fire, the car upside down with the oil, and they don't have any money, or they don't have a fire department person there.
Yeah.
While this car's dripping and the guy's upside down in it. Sorry, Jed, what were you gonna ask?
No. I was just curious, Dave, coming up like in the Australian film entertainment world, like, are there a lot of like, do people still kind of talk in anecdotes about this movie? Like, did it make as big of a wave for the entertainment world down there as it seems to have looking back in terms of money and stuff?
Yeah, Mad Max was
like,
definitely
culturally, did it start like a revolution of people trying to make more independent film there?
No, there was only independent film there up until about the
Even at
90s.
the time, yeah.
I want to say
Warner Brothers wasn't making anything down there yet.
Well, they were, but they were making it for America. Like, Australians didn't really,
Right.
we didn't have the budget to get a shot in for those studios.
Did the stunties from this movie just never pay for drinks?
Yeah, they should have.
In New South
Everywhere
Wales,
they went,
Australia, or Melbourne,
yeah.
they just walked around and they're like, I was a stunt motorcyclist and Mad Max, and somebody's like, they'll pay for your beers.
Yeah, that guy that fell off his bike. That was me.
Kundalini was that guy's name. Who gets his hand ripped off. There's so many moments like that are awesome, where it kind of did feel like George Miller would be like, all right, here's what happens in like the story of this sequence. Now, how can I like infuse like just little moments of violence
and ridiculousness?
Here's an example.
And ridiculousness.
How long did he milk the Johnny boy leaving the police, the halls of justice? Oh my God,
yeah, that went on for a long
with Goose
time.
Going nuts on him and all the fighting between the people. And how long did that whole sequence go on? Where like the information is just, he's getting out because there weren't enough people who showed up to the trial.
Yeah.
There's not enough witnesses. There's no jury. So he's gone. And Goose is like, what? No. And he gets to leave anyway. That's the story. And what happens is like a 10-minute sequence of them fighting their way through the halls of justice and Goose going nuts and everybody trying to hold him back. And then he does it again. It repeats like 3 or 4 times.
Which, from a production design, the whole of justice is an empty warehouse, basically.
I love how they established it the second time. They showed a cityscape, which I would imagine was Melbourne or Sydney. And then they dissolve very quickly back to that facade of halls of justice. And then another dissolve very quickly inside halls of justice. And they were like, you know where we are.
Yeah.
Come on, there's a city there somewhere. Go with it.
It's so funny.
Fucking
Also,
great, dude.
Shout out to the best performance. Granny. Come through, Granny.
Dude, she nailed it.
When she realizes, with the shotgun, she's obviously badass. And then when she realizes that she's dead, her and the kid are dead, she's like, oh, that
you want
look
to know
on
how
her face.
cool that woman is? I think there was an on-set accident. She broke her hip. And possibly, I think it was a leg as well. And she came back on set. You know, she has those braces on the bottom of her legs. She came back on set with her hip in plaster and finished the movie.
That is fucking badass. Also, RIP to that dog.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, that dog got ripped to shreds.
Dude, no, yeah, everybody was, no one was safe in this movie.
And guys, I know these villains were really bad, but they took care of their bodies. That yoga they did was really fucking weird. I can't understate it enough.
It was.
So
What's your favorite sequence? What's your favorite sequence from the movie? Is it the opening? Is it chasing her in the woods where they all become ninjas? That sequence was awesome. Is it the ending? Is it his revenge?
That was really cool in the woods. That was very quickly like an Eggers movie, like a horror movie or something.
Yeah, gave me like World War One vibes.
Since we're talking about the end,
kind of shit.
Like I realized why I didn't really never liked this one as much as the others, and it's because I don't think I was old enough to really think about it because I saw this very young and then I saw it again, and this is the third time I think I've watched it. But they spent that time explaining about how his wife was run over and she's going to be okay in the long run. We got the vitals back. She's going to be okay. I mean, she's obviously going to be fucked up, but she's okay. but they lost the baby. And then he gets in the car and goes off on a revenge spree. And then, of course, the movie finishes with him famously driving down the center line of the road off into wherever he ends up in Mad Max 2. So he basically just left his wife, who was still alive, laying in a hospital bed by herself after she just lost her kid. And I'm like, that was. When you stop and think about it, that's the dark side of the mad.
Well, I actually thought
the dark side.
I actually thought
dark man. Doctor?
He is the dark one.
I actually thought, because the sequels, obviously, and I do not, other than Up to Fury Road, I thought they were saying there was a real independent film audio mix on this movie. I was having trouble understanding what people were saying.
No, that's just Australian.
That scene, okay. That scene, I thought the gist of it was that the doctors were saying to each other, yes, she's going to live, but she's not really. I thought that's she's a total vegetable. So
and
like she's not there
don't
anymore.
Tell him.
And don't tell him. I thought they literally said, tell him she's going to be okay. But after the conversation you and I just had, she's not going to be okay. She's done.
Yeah. Also, he went mad. He went mad. I kind of.
So he was like,
I get you, Dave.
I liked that. I thought that was really efficient filmmaking, though. Just the pull out, reveal him. He's standing there. Hard light across the face. Everybody in there is basically in shadow with like a gentle practical backlighting everything. It just feels a little bit ominous, and he is finally like he can't escape his spotlight. Like he's finally being called upon to transform. And I've said this before about some good Australian movies I've watched, Dave, but I fucking loved all of the sunlight, just the natural light, which of course you can't escape when you're shooting this much outside. But they fucking made all of it work. Like I felt the fear, the suspense, the absurdity. I felt all of the tonal stuff. It was almost like a Western with cars.
Yeah,
the
punch-ins to their eyes before they either died or got into a crash or something every time was getting real fun. It was Western. It was almost noir and Western, like right before they were going to meet the end, but also well lit. I think that is true. Some of the lines are hilarious too, which is fun. Okay, Tarzan, I'll bring you back some bananas. I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's like when he's telling Mad Max, he's like, you're not allowed to quit for a month. Take a couple weeks off, grow a beard, draw flies. What the fuck does that mean, Dave? Did you draw flies in Australia? Is that something you did while you were chasing 8-foot spiders? Like, what is that?
I don't know. Maybe he's talking. Maybe he's talking about fly fishing.
Maybe
draw flies. I thought it meant go because this is what happened in my brain. I thought that meant in Australia, it's just so fucking hot everywhere. When you sit still long enough, flies will come to you. Go take it easy somewhere and draw some flies.
That works because
poetic, John.
Yeah, I think I forgot about
poetic,
that
John.
one.
You're probably right, but shut up.
Yeah, I know.
I'll answer your question, John.
Hey, Reefy, the chief, is he the same dude that Indiana Jones fights in Raiders of the Lost Ark that gets chopped up by the propeller?
Oh God!
They
somebody
had the
looked that up.
Same. They had the exact.
And why
same
was he
body
wearing
type.
no shirt in the stairwell?
Yeah, why was he wearing no shirt?
Flies.
That was funny. He looked good.
He looked great.
He was strong.
A little cravat. Yeah, it was fucking awesome.
Reefy. Was he in? He was in Quigley Down Under.
Well, yeah, most Australians were.
He had the same body type as that dude and Zangief from Street Fighter. If anybody remembers that.
John, I do not see him getting a credit. I do not see him getting an Indiana Jones
That guy was the same dude in my mind. I was like, that's the guy.
John,
it's only like 4 years later.
The question of the sequence, and again, I didn't know Max wasn't mad yet. I didn't know he was just a good policeman with a domestic life and a nice little house and loves sitting by the brush talking about daddy issues. Like, I didn't know that's who Max was. I thought he was mad. So for me, he had the police thing. I love that he was talking into the police, and they didn't have a different channel, so he could comment while the police people were talking and stuff. This is the road. Fuck, what was his first? What's the first guy's name?
Knight Rider.
The Knight Rider.
Mm.
When they realized that Max was after him, his face shifted. And he got really serious. And all of a sudden, he thought he wasn't going to make it. Yeah. That final crash. From that moment, it changed the drama for me watching it, where I was like, because before he was like, he was like a psycho. He was like OJ in the white Jeep or something, and the white Ford Bronco. And then all of a sudden he becomes this like really worried. The fuck, I don't know. I wasn't in fucking white Bronco.
Yeah, that's actually
shit.
That level of badass with Max.
To...
So they don't really establish that until 2.
And I'm not. All right,
again, it's like an origin story. I can't believe they did this first. How many properties tried to do this after their Road Warrior was successful. And then they said,
Yeah.
how do we go ahead and make our Mad Max? I love that this is first.
Surprising.
Really.
It is surprising. Tell
If
me
only
if this
Solo was
would have
this.
been.
If only Solo was this. If it was grungy and weird and fucked up. If only it was this. I like Solo, but it was too clean. You know?
I think that stuff you're talking
Yeah, I'll
about
take
at the beginning, and I'm going to be a little critical here, that confused me, and I don't think it made sense that he was already the best.
Yeah.
I think to turn someone mad, I think what could have been more interesting is if he wasn't the best, if Goose was the best.
Yeah.
And then if Goose had been the one, like, you know, when they show him that cool car, their Q characters, like, boop,
Yeah.
boop, 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 you know, he's like stuttering. He's like, I
Yeah.
built this crazy fucking car. If that was Q's car, excuse me,
If that
Goose's
was-
car.
Yeah.
And then Mel was kind of a chicken shit and a regular guy who was really trying to get out of there. And he is called upon through vengeance
You
to
film school
transcend
motherfucker. The
his
best part about this movie is
mendacity.
they didn't do any of that shit. They didn't
Yeah,
do any,
I mean,
the best part of this movie is they didn't
it was
do
even
any of
foreshadowing.
that.
Like the reason he wanted to get out wasn't because of his friend getting
This guy
getting burned. The
who
reason
broke out of prison.
he actually says, "If I'm one traffic stop away from becoming these guys."
This guy who broke out of
I know.
prison, stole a police car, and then all of a sudden a good cop was after him and he got scared. Like this movie
He
doesn't
did. He
have all
got
that
so
stuff.
scared. Yeah,
Also,
he got so
Really,
scared.
for the Fury Road listeners that are still listening, I mean, that when they're stealing the oil, it's like I actually can't believe they did it like this before they did it in Road Warrior and then Fury Road. Like, because they keep talking about the oil shortage, and I was like, yeah, okay, fine, it's post-apocalyptic, I get it. But to see them actually do that, I was like, that's practical as fuck. So when you get to Fury Road, part of the reason Fury Road is so good is it's not just like it had the backstory because so much IP gets fucked, but it's like they actually put in the time of being like, what if blank? And what if you had no money? And what if...
That was based on reality because we'd just come out of
Oh,
the
I'm
fuel,
sure bandits
but
did shit like that.
we'd
But
just come out of the
cool
fuel
to see
crisis
it.
in the 70s.
I thought it was
Dave,
really
when does
cool the way they
Fury
did
Road take place? When does Fury Road take place in the
that.
saga?
I imagine Immortan Joe is 30 years later or something. What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Because is he Tom Hardy isn't Mad Max, is he?
Yeah.
Immortan Joe
shit.
is but Immortan Joe is so much later though. He's older.
I mean, it is, but it's this
Is it just
again.
the
It's,
air tank?
again, you need to watch 2 and 3
Yeah.
to see the progression.
Because not that it never mattered to me when I saw Furiosa Fury Road. I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I know this world. Let's go. And I had never even. That's how fucking Ripley this saga has been. This entire franchise. I'd never seen it before, and I feel like I knew what it was about and the world, and the suspension of belief that there's a rock star hanging off the front. You saw the kernels and breadcrumbs of that in this one, and I'm sure they're in 2 or 3 and 4.
All right, last 2
4?
questions.
There's 3.
3. And then Fury Road's 4.
Yeah.
Last 2 questions. John, what was your favorite sequence? And Dave, Fury Road or Road Warrior?
Definitely the wood sequence. I think that was. I really enjoyed that quite a bit.
Nice.
I would go Fury Road over Road Warrior, mainly
Wow.
because it is a way slicker film with, like, I mean, Road Warrior has some awesome fucking stunts and some massively awesome action sequences, and you'll see where half the stuff in Fury Road came from.
That's cool.
Because he built every time he makes one of these, he builds on the ideas. And
Follow up. Does the Furiosa trailer look too slick?
yeah, I'm first trailer I wasn't a fan. Second trailer I'm a little more into it.
Okay.
Same. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not super excited to see it, but I bet it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys both? I have a question for you. When Fury Road came out, because I was still living in New York, but when you guys saw it, were you like, oh my God, like, did it fucking blow you away? Like, ultimately, it ended up doing so well with the awards and it made a lot of money. And I think we all look at it like,
Fury Road?
yeah.
I fucking saw
Did
it with
blow
you.
away first time?
We saw it together. I think all of us saw it together. I feel like I saw
really?
it
Yeah,
with you.
together?
We're walking down the street and you went, I know how this movie's going to start. And you described the opening exactly as it happened.
and I've
feel
never
like
seen
we
a
all-
Mad
Yeah,
Max
and you've
movie.
never seen it.
I feel like we all saw it together. I feel like John,
Oh my
you were
God,
like,
that's so good.
John, I feel like you came to me and you were like, we got to see it with Dave. He's Australian. He's got to know Mad Max. We got to do. I feel like we
God,
we
you know what?
purposefully
I'm
made
glad
sure all
I
3 of us
did.
saw it together.
You're fucking welcome. I had a great time, you guys. I had a great time seeing it. I'll never forget it.
How great is it? How
Apparently.
great is it? We remember the movie better than the company. that we were with.
I mean, we all lived together. It was,
Yeah.
You know, come on.
It was cool as shit.
I remember watching. I did want to comment just one last time, and I swear I'm not making fun of it, but they clearly spent money on their score for this, right? There was a lot of original score. I was not expecting that.
Really lucky with the person they
forgot that the beginning of this movie sounds a lot like with the sequence in the Holy Grail where John Cleese is running up to the castle.
Honestly, dude, I was not expecting so much like traditional symphonic orchestral strings and.
I mean, the soundtrack is my least favorite part of this.
Really?
Okay, yeah, because I'm not sure it worked for me, to be honest. I was kind of expecting more of a I was kind of expecting more of a early Howard Shore, David Cronenberg synthesizer. I was kind of expecting more of a dystopian kind of
Vangelis?
feel. Yeah, for sure. Like something like that, where something was going to maybe sound like all the instruments were broken and there's a new sound that is sort of musical. And it was just so traditional. I was kind of surprised at how traditional the score was and how much of it there was. They paid somebody to do most of this movie. There's probably 80 minutes of fucking music in this movie.
Composer's name is
like most scenes have music behind them.
Composer's name was Brian May.
Good job, Brian.
And before this, he did Cat's Paw.
Not the Queen guitarist Brian May.
not the is that the physicist or whatever, the science. What is he? Isn't he brilliant? Isn't Brian May from Queen brilliant?
They all have music degrees.
No, one of them's like a scientist. Okay, anyway, we'll figure this out. Guys, thank you for talking about Mad Max. For anybody listening that wants to give it a rewatch, go on Prime. It's an hour and 28 minutes.
It's on Prime, yeah.
And then go through the sequence. Furiosa is coming out, so you might as well whet your palate. That's wet with an H in there as well.
I'm pretty sure all three of them are on Prime. So if you do, if you do have,
I might watch two later tonight.
I want to watch two. Yeah. Brian May from Queen is an astrophysicist. You bastards. He's also an animal rights activist, and he was
he's also
CBE.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, this is the part of the episode where, before we head into what you've been watching, we spin the random year generator and we let you know what year we're going to be talking about next, but we're not going to tell you the movie until the very end of the episode. Dave, are you ready to spin?
I am ready to spin.
Let's take it away.
Dave, you're going to have to tell me what year it is because I don't have that box up in my Zoom.
Oh my God, I don't either. Shit. Dave, where'd it go?
Just say it, Dave.
Oh, there's 1956. We're going back in time to 1956.
We're going back in time.
Wow, that's a long way back.
We're going back in time.
Dave, congratulations. You got more buzzes than John and I combined this episode. How are you feeling?
A little toasted.
Dave did? How did I not get the most? I feel like I should have gotten the most this time.
Oh, but he buzzes my jokes as well. Like they're bad or something.
That's exactly why.
Well, if your jokes are cynical in nature, I guess. I don't fuck everybody. All right. This is the time of the episode where we tell you what you've been watching. We're going to tell you what movie we're picking at the end of the episode. As we said, Dave, we like to start with you. What you been watching?
I've been watching Netflix's Three Body Problem.
Nice.
My brother is so into this. He read the book.
I have not read the book, so say nothing, but
my sister-in-law.
I have a theory about what's going on, and twice they've blown that theory away. It's so well done, and they don't pull punches.
Can't wait to watch it.
Is this the D.B. Weiss and Benioff? It is, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, it is worth it.
As long as they don't fuck up the ending of this, all is forgiven.
And you know, for years and years around this town, I've heard some people saying recently that like this was floating around for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Known as the unadaptable book,
a guy in
impossible.
I think
to
a guy
make.
in China bought the rights to it and sat on them until he could find people to fund it and make it properly.
Well, the book it's a Chinese book from 2008.
Yeah.
And it won the Hugo Award in 2015. So the years are all over the place on this, but I know they reset it. And my brother said, who read the book, he said it's good that they reset it because it's all a lot of it's supposed to take place in China, but obviously you have like Western audiences and, you know, Western media coming in to do this. So I think they said it at Oxford and stuff, but it's like obviously China's involved in there as well. Yeah. But he thinks, I don't know, I can't speak for him, so I don't want to say any more than that other than very curious. And I'm surprised not more people are talking about this.
I think a lot of people are still going through it and no one wants to talk about it until they know, like they get to the end and hopefully it reveals what the fuck's going on, because you do not know what's going on and I'm 5 episodes in.
This is the English translation was posted in 2014. So it took 6 years before the English translation, which was, yeah, okay. Wow.
That's it. That's all I've been watching.
That's it. That's all I watched. I've watched. All right, the movie I remembered from the beginning was I rewatched Moneyball.
Wow.
Not quite sure why, but pressed play on it and enjoyed myself quite a bit. I really, really like Ben Miller's direction. Aaron Sorkin and Steve Zalian together on a screenwriting credit. Get out of here. I mean, come on.
So,
two giant.
Shout out Michael Lewis, too. Let's shout out Michael Lewis for the great source material.
Sure, of course. I mean, really good. I like the moody thing. I don't know if I was very aware of the explosions in the sky. I think it's them. If it's not them, it's somebody sounding like them. And I think it's just we've heard that, them exist in their, with their music in so many different kinds of movies and shows now. It doesn't matter. I had a great watch. Genius, the movie about Thomas Wolfe, the novelist, Jude Law, and Colin Firth playing Max Perkins, the editor of Hemingway and F. Scott Fitzgerald and Thomas Wolfe, and I haven't seen that movie in a while. It's a little cheesy, but it's still fun. Screenplay by John Logan. If anybody is a big fan of that literature period. I started the Steve Martin documentary, which is two parts technically. It's a docuseries, but really it's just 2 parts. So I haven't watched the second half yet. Pretty remarkable. Growing up in my lifetime, I really only knew him as the movie star, and I heard people talking about Steve Martin, the comedian, but I never got the album. I never watched the tape, so I really just didn't know much about it. I just saw clips here and there, all the way up until now, basically. So seeing him really walk it through that entire period, and then without being too spoily, it's exactly what you think it is. He stops doing that at a certain point, very consciously. So just to kind of realize, that makes sense why I missed it. It's good. It's well done. It's engaging. It's on HBO Max. I definitely recommend watching. I'm really excited to watch the second part. And then I have been waiting for a couple weeks, you guys, because I watched this over 2 weeks ago, and I forgot to say it the past 2 weeks that I watched this. I finally watched, and I'm going to go out on a limb here because I might be one of the only people in the world who feels this way. I thoroughly enjoyed Napoleon. I really, really liked that movie. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I had a great watch.
Wow.
Gosh, I mean, come on.
What was it that really sold the deal for you? Because the narrative was all over the place. The narrative was all over the goddamn place. But the sequences were awesome. You can't say that the sequences weren't awesome, but the narrative was all over the fucking place.
I think, here's 2 big things. One, everybody kind of talked about how this movie was either mediocre or they really hated it. There were many people that, but I feel like a lot of people were very lukewarm on it, or they did not like it. Maybe not hate it, but it was just, so my expectations weren't super high. I also just thought it was going to be different than what everybody kept saying. It's not what I thought it was. So I went into it thinking, I'm kind of expecting it to not be exactly what you think it is. And third, and I'll totally admit to this, I didn't take AP European history, so I didn't know every fucking detail of his life. I just knew the big hits. So going into it with those expectations and my gentle understanding of his major touchstones, I was most impressed with the tone. I thought the humor worked. I thought there was an absurdity to it and a satire to it.
The way he does
I don't think people appreciated it enough.
On YouTube, you can see
it really did. It worked for me. The cuts in and out of the sex, the relationship, and his weird insecure obsession with it worked for me. The way he went in and out of the battles worked. There was literally some moments that are funny, but a lot of it I was just this is I don't know. I just thought it was more interesting than maybe a traditional, grounded, sincerely dramatic epic about a very famous historical figure. I thought Ridley Scott had a lot more fun.
I feel like as an
than I was
impartial
expecting.
viewer who never has a problem with those kind of films, I should watch it and break the tie between you two.
You should.
Dude,
it's not that I didn't like it. I'm just surprised you liked it so much.
I'll also say that I know I'm somebody who likes long movies, and I totally understand that I'm a super minority there. I did not mind at all how long it was. It's one of those movies that, because, as you said, Jeff, the narrative isn't this burn suspense thing that's building to all of his big touchstones. You do kind of want to just live in that world for 2.5 hours. You got to want that. and I was ready to it. I watched it by myself, headphones in, at night,
See,
had the
that's what's
time. I was like, let's go. And I had
That's
a great
interesting because
sit
it
inside that
moved,
world.
it skipped around so much too that I was kind of like, I couldn't get sunk in. So I'm glad that you said that, because so many people are like, I love the Josephine storyline, but you haven't said anything about the Josephine storyline. You're all talking about the political stuff. So it's funny, like the back and forth and this, because I love the sequence where they storm the build, like where basically he's like, we're going all in now. This is the time. And I forget what his friend's name is. And he's like, what? And he's like, we're going to storm in and basically call their bluff. Let's go. And he's like, oh, fuck. And it's like, if he didn't do that, he would never.
Hilarious.
It's hilarious.
The
Yes.
whole sequence
I
was
love
so
that.
funny.
We didn't get a lot of office time.
What did you watch, Jeff? We got to rein this in.
Shit. What was your favorite sequence though? Did you like the opening sequence better or the ice battle? Was the ice battle the best one for you? Or just like Waterloo?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, I don't give a shit. Okay.
My favorite moment in the whole movie is when he stands up and talks to the mummy. Hilarious.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Hilarious. I mean, come on, it was funny.
I peed and then I came back and he was talking to the mummy. It was funny.
Excuse me.
Okay, cool. I watched The Bloody 100th, which is a docuseries for the people that like the Masters of the Air and got emotionally moved by the end of it and wanted some more. It's really great. It's like an hour and Tom Hanks narrates it. Spielberg gets in there and basically says, this was great. It's basically why we made our show. And it was really great. But you have to see Masters of the Air first. Angela and I are basically caught up. There's like 1 or 2 more episodes to come out of the new look. So John, thank you for getting us into that. I still think this would have been a fantastic 6-episode series. I'm happy with 9, but it's great. It's a really, really, really good show. Some of the French accents are better than others. It doesn't matter. Every single time Ben Mendelsohn says Christian Dior, he says it differently. And maybe I say my name differently every time, but it's really weird to hear him say Christian Dior, Christian Dior. He says it differently every fucking time. It's really strange. Okay, and I watched a lot of NCAA basketball this weekend. All right, so we're going to take a quick break and tell you what movie from 1956? Dave? That we're going to be talking about next week. Stay tuned, film fans. Listen to some Dawson.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
We decided we're recording this on Easter right now, so we missed the 10 Commandments by like a week or 2. We just missed it.
Yeah, we missed the 3 hours and 40 minutes. Like, what is that? 30 minutes, 25 minutes per commandment?
We've been. I don't have my BuzzFeed. I don't have Dave just trying to set the record. I don't.
Yeah.
The Searchers, we've been on a kick of Westerns, The Killing, Stanley Kubrick. There's so much good stuff that happened this year that we'll talk about next week if you want some more context of the 1956 film year. But you're going to have to get your Amazon Prime subs up, get onto it, because we're going to be talking about Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The original, there's apparently a 1978 remake and some others later on that I'm sure we'll know all about next week. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956, the original, hour and 20 minutes. It's on Prime. Listen, we'll see you next week. Anything else you knuckleheads want to say?
Nope.
All right, until next time, film fans, play us out with some Dasein.